Hey parents, do you remember when you used to high five yourself just for adulting? Now you're successfully navigating teen parenting or keeping tiny humans alive and generally managing to succeed in other parenting stages, but somehow that feels less celebration worthy. What if I told you that embracing these small parenting wins is the key to unlocking a more flourishing family life? Join us today as we explore how to find joy in the journey one tiny step at a time. Welcome back, my friends, to the 200th episode of Fulfillment Therapy. I'm so excited to celebrate this milestone with you today as we approach our 2-year anniversary in May, so coming up, not that far away. And I am filled with gratitude for this incredible audience. We continue to grow because of your shares, your reviews, and your feedback. So thank you so much for helping us in this journey because honestly, it has not been easy. Today, in celebration of our 200th episode, I thought it would be important to talk about why we should celebrate wins. In this special episode, we're going to explore why celebrating those wins and those milestones is so crucial for mental health and for wellness and life fulfillment. As parents and spouses, we often run on fumes and we're overwhelmed by those daily responsibilities many times. So it's time to reignite our enthusiasm and passion for life by acknowledging our achievements. We often don't slow down to do that. And I know I'm not alone in this. Why don't we celebrate? We often overlook our successes for a variety of reasons, but these seem to be some of the top ones when I'm working with clients. First one is often that lack of awareness due to constant busyness. There's not a slowing down to celebrate it. And the second one is this problem-focused mindset and fear maybe of jinxing that success, even though I think mostly we don't really think we're going to jinx it. But there's just something in us that holds us back from really talking about it because of that problem focus. And then that next reason is this desire to remain humble and focus on the next goal instead of getting too comfortable patting ourselves on the back, which I would say that's one of the biggest ones I see in my clients, often an unfounded fear, because how many of us really do get too comfortable patting ourselves on the back? Not very many of us. And then the fourth one is this lack of confidence and feeling that those achievements are just simply never enough. And I would say that's probably another big one that I see with my clients as well. Okay, let me give you a scenario here. You have an 11-year-old daughter, maybe like I do, and she's showing you her latest art contest submission. She's so proud, but she's feeling anxious despite all of her time spent on it and her weeks of dedication in this one thing. And how would you respond to that as she shows you something that she's spent so much time creating? She's really been very dedicated, just very focused on something that she's really wanted to do and that was really important to her. Now, would you highlight her shortcomings or would you celebrate her creativity and her discipline and her growth? As parents, we often find it easier to celebrate our children's wins, but we can also extend that same kindness to ourselves. When I think of my daughter, that actually was something that happened. She was very nervous to turn it in and I just was so proud of her and I felt just so, I almost felt in awe. I felt so grateful to be her mother and to see those strengths being highlighted and just excited for her. I wanted her to celebrate that in herself. Now, do I do the same for me that I do for her? Do I feel that same happiness and joy and excitement? I don't think that's always the case. And I think that's increasing over time. But I think we can all come a little bit farther when it comes to celebrating our successes. Are you a win celebrator? Let's find out by answering these simple 5 questions. Number 1, do you take time to acknowledge your daily accomplishments? Number 2, when you achieve a goal, do you pause to savor the moment? Number 3, do you share your successes with others, no matter how small that is? Now, obviously, those really tiny ones like, yeah, I brushed my teeth. Maybe you don't have to do that, but something like, I had a really great session with a client and there was major change and it felt so good to be a part of that. Do share those things. The next one is, can you list 3 personal achievements from the last month? Now, this is important because if you really are stumped even thinking about just 3, this is probably a good indicator that it's hard for you to focus on the good. And then the last one, do you have a system or ritual for recognizing your progress? Now, I've shared this before, but one thing that I do is at the end of every week, I write down my top wins for the week. And then every single month I have in my planner that I write down my biggest personal wins and my biggest professional wins and what I'm most proud of and I want to do more of. And then at the end of the year, I look through all of those and I do that personal audit. So this is something that's really helpful to constantly do every day, or at the very least, maybe every week, just tiny amounts of times. This probably takes me 2 to 5 minutes to do every week and probably 10 minutes at the end of the month. Very simple. So if you answered no to 3 or more of those questions, you might benefit from incorporating more celebration in your life. And even if you're great at it, it can't hurt to celebrate more. It's just positive, the things that come from that. And let's talk about what those things are. It goes back to positive psychology. If you don't know what that is, this is where we focus on human flourishing. I love positive psychology. And this is beyond just talking about mental illness. And this is not just the medical model, but this is preventative, or focusing on what is going well instead of just being so problem and illness focused, which I just love. This resonates with me so much. So it talks about things like the cultivation of strengths and virtues and those types of things. What does this have to do with celebrating wins? What this has to do with it is that it changes our mind frame from one of problem focused to instead building the best qualities in life. And that is what we're trying to do on fulfillment therapy. Building the best in life. I'm going to give you a few examples that can help you realize how you can do this in small, simple ways, both personally, in your marriage, and in your parenting. So a simple personal growth one could be, maybe you've been working on improving your patience, and you are very strategic about what you're doing to be more patient and grounded, and you're documenting that and you're thinking about it. It's in your daily meditation or whatever you're doing to be more aware of that. You make note of that throughout the week. And at the end of the week, you celebrate taking a wonderful bubble bath and journaling about your successes and what it feels like to succeed in that area with something that you've wanted to focus a little bit more on improving for a while. Now let's talk about marriage. Maybe you and your spouse have really been working on improving communication and collaborating a little bit more. That has been the focus for a while, and you realize you have made strides and it has improved. Now, is it perfect? No, we are human, but you have intentionally been leaning in and trying to improve that. So you decide to do a special date night and celebrate that and talk about the wins that you've noticed and how that's drawn you closer together. Now, how about parenting? This one can be a hard one to celebrate because we always feel like there's so much room for growth. But this is especially important to celebrate that success. And our children need to see that as well. Maybe you celebrate your first successful night of sleep training or potty training if you have young kids. Or maybe it's when your teen completely lost it and acted like a toddler and you stayed grounded and calm. And you didn't get drawn into that vortex of negative energy or even gossiping afterwards or triangulation, but you really just were calm and were able to see it for what it was and allow them to feel their feelings, but in a healthy way. And then afterwards, you broke it down as a family and you celebrated that success where each family member, yourself included, was able to detach from that a little bit and be respectful, give them the benefit of the doubt, but you didn't let it pull you in. And I actually use that as a real experience because that happened yesterday for us. And in the past, we all have been pulled into that negative energy. It's so easy to, both in parenting and marriage and all of those things, but celebrating that, hey, it's normal to feel like you want to get drawn in and then get caught up in that argument instead of just letting them feel their feelings and manage their own feelings in a healthy way instead of trying to fix everything for them and micromanage, then breaking it down afterwards. There's always space to comfort them in the right time, but in the middle of their raging and all those things, they're not going to be as receptive to it typically. It obviously depends on the age, but celebrating that with your kids, because none of us got pulled into it. And afterwards, that child that was very much like a 4-year-old in that moment came to us and said, I'm sorry for my part. I am sorry I lost it and I was acting like that. Could we please talk about it a little bit later? I have some thoughts on it. And we're like, absolutely. Yes, there's space for that. Definitely willing to talk to you. Thank you for coming to us and talking about it. So that is a milestone that we can completely celebrate. And when you celebrate those things, it increases the likelihood of success again. of a similar scenario playing out with a positive result. Now, how can you celebrate wins more often? Because if you're anything like me or my clients, you're like, yeah, if I think about it, I might do it here and there. It's all about getting intentional. Now, how can we do that? You can start by setting clear goals. So define what success looks like for you in marriage, in parenting, personally. And this can just be simple things. And then keep a journal or maybe even use an app to monitor your achievements. I just do it in my paper planner because I love doing that. And it's different things. Like it's breaking it down to very specific things instead of just be a great mom. It's like, today I'm just going to focus on 10 minutes of quality time with 2 of my kids. And now I can do more than that or less than that, but floor goal, that bottom goal, or that ceiling goal, that top goal. Like maybe I'm going to be present with every kid for 20 minutes today. That would be my ceiling goal. And my low goal is I'm going to be present with 2 of my kids for 10 minutes each today. And it's going to be total focus and just smiling and loving them and being affectionate. And that's it. And then tracking that success, tracking those things that you're doing. Another simple thing you can do is create rituals around it. So develop those simple ways to acknowledge those wins. It can even be something so simple as a silly victory dance. You just ask Alexa to play a silly song and you dance and the kids see, hey, when mom's doing her weird dance, that means she totally nailed it today. Or it can be a special meal or your favorite little snack. So every time they see you doing that, they recognize, oh, mom nailed it today. That's awesome. Or like a certain drink, whatever that is. Also, you can share with others. Please share it with others because that's celebrating that success and that's spreading those ripples. So tell a friend or a family member and talk about those wins. Now, I know many of you are like, oh, that sounds like really prideful or this or that. If that were your kid, would you say the same thing to them? Maybe some of us would, but I think most of us, if it's talking about something we've been working on and we're excited to live intentionally, I don't think most of us see that as a prideful thing. And if we do, maybe we need to explore why that is, because that might not be seeing things as they really are. And then the last simple thing that you can do is practice gratitude. So regularly express that thankfulness for your progress and your growth. That's one thing I was just thinking about again today. I go back and forth between that gratitude journal because it's so easy to get off that path of focusing on the good and instead nitpicking and getting problem focused. So easy. Even for somebody that loves those things, I have to go back to that journal every so often because I can get in a rut again. And that often happens, I've discovered, certain times of the year, like when it's cloudy, when it's not the best weather, whenever it is, like I can start to nitpick more. So I have to be more intentional during those times or during high stress times. Another important thing is to celebrate other people's wins. I think this is a little bit easier for a lot of people. Like celebrating your kids' wins or your spouse's wins or a friend's wins. When we do, this strengthens our relationship and it cultivates that positive environment. My son is actually quite good at not getting sucked into that vortex. He's able to stay really calm and grounded when people overreact, and I'm really impressed by that. So last night, I just said, you are so incredible at that. And when I watch you, it's inspirational and reminds me how I can respond. And you could just see him perk up quite a bit. And it felt good to point that out to him. And it also made me feel a little sad that I'm not doing more of those things. Now, I don't want to get stuck in I'm not doing this enough, but it reminds me to do more of that, to celebrate more, because kids need to hear that as much as we need to hear that. Like when my kids tell me things I'm doing right and what they appreciate, it completely makes my heart melt and it changes the atmosphere in the home. So these are just a couple other simple tips that you can do to celebrate other people's wins. You can offer specific praise for kids' efforts and achievements, or really anybody. You can write a heartfelt note, just very simple, whether in a lunchbox or even a text, whatever that is. You can plan a surprise celebration for a loved one's milestone. This can be big or small. And you can share their success story with others, obviously with their permission if it's something a little more private. And there's so many other simple things you can do, but those are just a few to get you started. Now, I want to give you a few self-reflection questions if you're still feeling a little bit stuck and like this is harder for you than it is maybe other people. Here are 4 of them. What beliefs do you hold about self-praise or recognition? How did your family of origin handle celebrations and accomplishments? This is often very helpful and informative if you're feeling stuck. What fears come up when I think about acknowledging my successes? And how might my life change if I celebrated more often? Like maybe this is a family culture that no longer serves you. It was frowned upon if you celebrated your successes and you felt like you had to downplay your accomplishments because that behavior was rewarded for you growing up, even though it didn't improve the family peace or really help you feel good about yourself and improve your confidence. So maybe that's something you can let go of more and explore how you can change that culture in your home. I alluded to this earlier, but research shows that celebrating wins has significant positive impacts. It boosts dopamine and serotonin levels, and in doing so, improves your mood and motivation. It also increases resilience and the ability to overcome future challenges. It enhances your overall life satisfaction, your fulfillment, and your well-being. Last but not least, it strengthens your relationships and social bonds. There's actually a lot more benefits than just those, but those are the main ones. Harvard actually did a study on this and found that people who take time to savor their achievements were 34% more likely to feel intensely happy on a regular basis. So this is very much attached to it. My friends, journal about the things you're the most proud of. Ask yourself, is my list of accomplishments helping me become who I was meant to be? Remember, sometimes it's not about doing more, but about being present and grateful for the beauty that is in your life. All right, let's recap what we talked about today. Celebrating wins is crucial for improving your life fulfillment. Positive psychology will help you by focusing on human flourishing and those strengths rather than getting stuck in the weeds. So there's simple things that you can do to improve your overall outlook. When we focus on the wins, we improve our mood, our resilience, and our overall well-being. When we acknowledge other people's successes, including our own, that strengthens relationships and creates a more positive home environment. So as we conclude this 200th celebration today, I invite you to join in our celebration and to express our gratitude to you. We are offering you a special gift. So you get $20 off of one of our courses for each of the following things. So you can get up to $100 off for these simple, probably like 2-minute things that you can do for each one. The first one is you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and take a screenshot. The second one is you can share an episode on social media explaining what you loved about it, how it was transformational, or any of those things. The third thing you can do is join our email list at fulfillmenttherapy.org/free. And then the fourth thing is join or follow us on Instagram or Facebook. All of the links are in the show notes. And then the fifth thing is you can read or share one of our blog posts and tell us what you liked. All you have to do is send us an email at hello@fulfillmenttherapy.org and share which ones you did with those screenshots, and we will give you that discount towards one of our courses. That is a massive discount, $100 off for maybe 10 minutes of work, but I think that's even a stretch. This is our big thank you for helping us grow and continuing to help us grow so that we can help people rise to greater heights and become who they were meant to become and begin to celebrate more of the goodness in your life and create that momentum for not only personal, but community growth and positive ripples all around you. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in. We are back here every Monday and Thursday with a new episode, so we will see you back here soon. Take care, my friends.